I want you, Brother Frank, to explain to us why the name was changed from Ivory Coast to Cote d'Ivoire and what the significance of that is. So spiritual injection, receive our special guest, Brother Frank, who's in Cote d'Ivoire now as we speak and who will present for us this evening. Let's give him a big round of applause. Welcome, Brother Frank.
Welcome, Brother Frank.
Hello.
Welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Grand rising, peace and blessings to everyone.
Don't forget the Cote d'Ivoire greeting. What is the Cote d'Ivoire greeting in the original language?
Well, we say Akwaba. It's the same thing we say in Ghana.
Akwaba.
Akwaba is greetings.
Right. People been waiting for some Akwaba, Frank. Don't deny us. Akwaba.
Akwaba.
Yes, sir. It's a greetings that we say is welcome. It's used in the Akan language. Akan is a major ethnical group in West Africa. So we also have Akans in Cote d'Ivoire. And the words that we use is Akwaba. Oh, okay. So Akwaba, if we can go to the first slide. Bienvenue en Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast. I don't know if everyone can see the slide.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So when we, this is the beauty of Ivory Coast. We will go to the second slide where it says Akwaba, bienvenue en Côte d'Ivoire. So the Ivory Coast, it was originally state Côte d'Ivoire means land of ivory. Originally, it was called La Terre d'Ebioni, which also says land of ivory. It was retitled Côte d'Ivoire because it's just a language barrier. From my understanding, the president wanted to keep it in French instead of having it to change it in English. So he stated that it is best that since it's a French-speaking country, that we keep it French. That's from my understanding why it stayed Cote d'Ivoire instead of Ivory Coast. But Ivory Coast means the coast of ivory, and Cote d'Ivoire means the coast of ivory. But originally it was called La Terre d'Ebioni, which means the land of ivory. The Ivory Coast is officially known as Cote d'Ivoire, as I stated, is a West African country situated along the Gulf of Guinea, bordered by Liberia, Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Ghana, as you can see on the map here, covering a total area of 322,463 square miles, kilometers, sorry, which is equivalent to 124,500 square miles. The nation, the country has a warm and humid tropical monsoon climate, which means that it's mostly raining throughout the year. It's characterized by three distinct seasons: warm and dry, hot and dry, and hot and wet. The dry season spans from December to February. We call this season Harmattan, which basically is the wind coming from the desert that comes from the desert during that season. We call it the season of Harmattan. December to February, that's the dry season, while the rainy season lasts from April to October. So like I say, it's mostly raining, and it's actually raining right now. The temperature reaches from 22 Celsius to 32 Celsius, 22 degrees to 32 degrees Celsius throughout the year. Okay, so please go to the next slide. Okay, so adding to its allure, as you can see on the picture here. Of course, the Ivory Coast is the land of ivory. Its name emphasizes rich culture and natural diversity. It's bordered by the Atlantic Ocean. The country boasts landscapes ranging from pristine white sand beaches to verdant tropical forests. Numerous national parks and nature reserves further showcase the nation's commitment to preserving its diverse fauna and flora. So a lot of Ivory Coast still has, you know, a lot of natural spaces around the country. But if you travel to Ivory Coast, you will see there's a lot of land available that's not been occupied yet. If we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, here we have some children from the Abron tribe and Senefolk tribe. This is a rich cultural heritage with a population exceeding 26 million people. The Ivory Coast is a melting pot of over 60 different ethnic groups. More than 60 different ethnic groups, with the Kru, Akan, as I stated earlier, Monday of the North and Monday of the South, and the Guro, which is the fifth ethnic group. So all these five ethnic groups have other ethnical, tribes that are part of each group. My father is from the Kru, which is like around Liberia. This is a crewman, and according to history, the crewmen were known to be very ferocious against the slave makers or the people who took over the country. They fought back against the slave owners. And my mother is from the Guro group, which is actually a tribe called the Guro tribe. So when we go to each group contributes to the country's cultural tapestry with its unique tradition, languages, and customs. This multi-ethnic richness adds an extra layer of fascination to the Ivory Coast already captivating profile. Now we have to know that French is the major language, but besides French, a lot of people speak Bambara. Bambara, it is commonly known as Jula, and Jula means merchant in Bambara. Bambara is also spoken in Guinea and other West African countries. So when you go to the local market, for example, to buy food, the language there is Bambara. You really have to know certain words in Bambara in order for you to, be able to negotiate for, food whenever you buy certain things at the market. Okay, so if we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, here we have a picture of former President Laurent Gbagbo and also President of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, peace be upon him. The political overview, well, I'm just going to be brief here. Having gained its independence from France in 1960, the Ivory Coast enjoyed a relative peace until the outbreak of the Civil War in 2002. Certain people say that actually started in 1999 when things started getting out of hand. But officially, the war started in 2002. Another conflict issued in 2011, which my wife and I were actually in that here at that time, 2011. When the president Laurent Gbagbo contested a disputed election. So basically, the president stated that the election were tricked, they were not properly made, and eventually the other party was supported by the West. So this caused the country to go into turmoil, and Gbagbo's resistance against the French influence in the West aimed at achieving true independence. Laurent Gbagbo wanted the country to be self-sufficient. He wanted the president Laurent Gbagbo wanted the country to be free from the French. From the French. Uh, so this resulted in a civil war, and eventually, as we know, the enemy has always been taking one side against the other. So unfortunately, this has caused a civil war when the side of Laurent Gbagbo fought against the side of the current president, Alassane Ouattara. Alassane Ouattara is president, has been elected for his third term, and he's actually the president of the Ivory Coast right now. So despite these challenges, the Ivory Coast is still actively engaged in rebuilding and moving forward. There's a lot of projects, there's a lot of infrastructure projects being made in Ivory Coast as we speak. So the country is slowly moving forward and hoping for a brighter future. If we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, this is what you have on the picture here is the symbol of the CFA. It's the West African currency. That's the actual symbol you have. So renowned for its major production of cocoa and cashews, the Ivory Coast is also a significant producer of rubber, palm oil, and various other resources, positioning it as a crucial player in these industries. So Ivory Coast is not just known for cocoa, but it actually produces also top producer of cashews and other resources. The country's appeal extend beyond its economic contribution. So you have, like I say, the beautiful beaches, lush forests, and vibrant cities that make it a popular tourist destination. In this presentation, we will delve into the reason why the Ivory Coast is a compelling destination and explore various opportunities across the sectors of agriculture, tourism, art, culture, and sport. Whether you are drawn to the natural beauty of the country or interested in investing in its growing economy, the Ivory Coast has something to offer for everyone. So what we will do is just break down this just the introduction. We will break down the presentation into three parts. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the man has this three basic needs: food, shelter, clothing, and shelter. So the way I've organized this presentation is to be able to break it down into the agriculture part, the tourism, art, and culture, and after that we will talk about the real estate of Ivory Coast. So if we can go to the next slide, please, we will address the agriculture part. We'll go to the next one. So that here it says the success of this country relies on agriculture. That was the actual statement from the first president of Ivory Coast, founder president Felix Houphouët-Boigny. Felix Houphouët-Boigny believed that agriculture is the future, and that this will bring success to the country. Which also reminds me of what the Honorable Elijah told us about the agriculture being the motor of our nation. So the Ivory Coast is the world's largest exporter of cocoa beans and a major producer of coffee as well, bananas, palm oil, cashew, and rice. In recent years, the government has made significant investment in the agriculture sector to boost its productivity and improve the livelihood of farmers. As an investor, you can take advantage of the favorable climate and fertile soil to invest in cocoa, coffee plantation, palm oil processing, rice farming, and other agricultural activities. So we will go into the next slide and also explore the opportunities that we may have in the agriculture section. So if we go to the next slide, please. As you can see here, these are strawberries, and they are made in Africa. They are grown in Africa. The new era of farming. In addition to the crops mentioned above, you have some farmers, Ivorian farmers, who are able to grow crops that are not usual to the region, like strawberries and even grapes. So this is this has been done over the past years, and thanks to the advances of in agricultural technology and technique, this diversification of crop has not only helped to increase the income of farmers, but also opened new markets and opportunities for investors looking to get involved into the agriculture sector. So yes, we can produce strawberries in Cote d'Ivoire. So if we go to the next slide, please. Okay, we have cocoa. So cocoa, the chocolate business in Ivory Coast is closely tied to the production of cocoa beans, as the country is the world's largest exporter of cocoa beans. Despite this, most of the cocoa beans are exported as raw material, with only a small portion being processed into chocolate within the country. In recent years, there has been a push to increase the amount of cocoa processing that happens within Ivory Coast. This would add value to the cocoa industry and provide new economic opportunities for local communities. Several chocolate companies have invested in processing facilities in Ivory Coast, including Barry Callebaut and Cargill. Okay. We could go to the next slide, please. As you can see here on the picture, those are not books, but those are actually wrappers for chocolate bars. Those are chocolate bars, which shows the culture, the cultural aspect of Ivory Coast, and I found it very interesting the way they have presented the chocolate bars. So here, additionally, some Ivorian entrepreneurs have started their own chocolate business using locally grown cocoa beans to produce high-quality chocolates, bars, and confections. By doing so, they are able to capture more value from the cocoa industry and promote Ivorian chocolate as a premium product. However, the chocolate business in Ivory Coast still faces challenges, including limited infrastructure and access to financing for small businesses. Despite these challenges, there is optimism about the potential for the chocolate industry to grow and provide new economic opportunities for Ivorian communities. Okay, next slide, please. So we have now the cashews, as you see on the picture. Cashew is an important crop in Ivory Coast and a major contributor to the country's economy. So Ivory Coast is the world's largest producer of raw cashew. Yes, Ivory Coast is the world's largest producer of raw cashew. Cashew production has grown significantly in recent years due to government policies aimed at increasing productivity and improving quality. Now, please note that India is a major importer of raw cashews from Ivory Coast and is also a major exporter of processed cashew. Indian companies have invested in processing facilities in Ivory Coast, which has led to increased exports of processed cashew from the country. So yes, India is the top client for these products, for the cashew in Ivory Coast. Next slide, please. Okay, now we have rice. Rice is a staple.
I'm going to stop you, Frank.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to stop you for a second. Just put a pin in it for a second. In regards to India being the greatest purchasers of the cashew nut, who actually owns the companies that they're purchasing the cashew nut from?
Yes, some of these, most of these companies are not Ivorian, they are Indians.
So the Indians are the greatest purchasers of cashew nuts in Ivory Coast from companies that Indian people own in the Ivory Coast.
Yes.
Okay.
All
right. Okay. I didn't want that to go over people's head. Okay, because if you think that money's going to the locals, you got another thing
No, it's
Our
not.
people just work and pick the nuts for peanuts. Okay, pardon the pun. So continue on, brother.
Yes. Okay, so rice is a staple food in Ivory Coast, and demand for it is high, both domestically and internationally. The government has implemented policies to increase rice production through subsidies for farmers and investments in irrigation systems. There are opportunities for investors to support the rice industry by investing in production, processing, and distribution. So yes, just recently there's been a big, boom in the rice industry. Almost everybody is growing their own rice and selling their own rice locally. Uh, Next slide, please. Okay, Atieke. Can you please say with me, Atieke?
Atieke.
Atieke. Okay. Atieke is, you can say, your hamburger. That's the way America has its hamburger. That's Ivory Coast has its Atieke. Atike holds a special place as the signature food for the Ivory Coast. From morning to night, it's ate for morning breakfast, it's ate at lunch, it is ate at night time. So they have, you can eat it all day, the way you cook it. It just depends on how you cook it. The popular Ivorian dish is crafted from fermented, grated, and dried cassava roots. So it comes from cassava roots. It is mostly accompanied by grilled fish or meat. Atike plays a vital role in the local economy with its production and consumption forming an integral part of the daily life in the Ivory Coast. So next slide, please. Okay, this is the last part of the presentation. We will talk about real estate. The Ivory Coast is rapidly developing country, as I stated earlier, growing economy, and the most popular types of properties that are being constructed these days in the Ivory Coast are apartment buildings and villa houses, both of which are in high demand. Many new developments are being built to cater to this demand, with modern apartments and houses being constructed in Abidjan, the country's largest city, as well as other urban centers such as Bouaké and Yamoussoukro. So you have Abidjan, Bouaké, and Yamoussoukro, where they do a lot of constructions in real estate. And if we can go to the next slide, please.
Nice.
Okay, so here we have this one apartment that stands where you can see the lagoon from the balcony.
Nice.
One of the major challenges confronting the real estate market in Ivory Coast is affordability. Despite a substantial demand for property, significant portion of the population faces difficulty in affording homes at the current market price. While there are many opportunities for investors in the Ivory Coast real estate market, renters face difficulty securing suitable housing due to the high upfront costs. Yes, landlords often request a security deposit, agency fees, and several months' rent in advance, as well as a down payment or caution that can be several times the monthly rent. So, for example, if you have to rent an apartment for $500 a month, the landlord will tell you that, okay, you have to pay 5 months in advance first, or 3 months in advance. So these upfront costs can be a significant barrier to finding and securing houses, particularly for those with limited financial resources. Consequently, there has been a surge in informal settlements and slums in various areas. Okay, so if you go to the next slide, please. Another major challenge affecting the real estate market in Abidjan is the flooding during the rainy season. Abidjan's inadequately designed drainage system can lead to substantial flooding, causing damages to homes and rendering them uninhabitable. This in turn results in the depreciation of the property values and financial losses for property owners. Despite these challenges, Ivory Coast real estate market remains a promising area for investment with strong demand for properties and government support for the sector's growth. There are many opportunities for investors to capitalize on the country's growing economy and expanding middle class. So,
very well done, brother. Very thoughtful. You gave us a lovely 360. And obviously, we're interested in the opportunities and we're concerned with who's taking advantage of us on our mother continent. And just some quick research, dear brother, and those of you who are in the listening audience, you have to appreciate the countries that are most dependent on others for food. Because Africa is not at the top of that list. The United States of America is the most dependent country on planet Earth for food from other nations. America. She imports over $133 billion worth of food from outside of her borders annually. And guess who's right behind her? Frank's friends. Who's Frank's friends? The Chinese were taking over the manufacturing of their national dish in Ivory Coast, right? Think about it. So the Chinese, they import over $105 billion US dollars worth of food from outside of China annually. So if that's the case, if they need food to feed their population that their countries cannot produce, where do you think they're going to target?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to target countries that have poor militaries and unstable governments. Guess what countries fit the bill? Just guess. That's our nations. And that's why everybody's coming, buying up as much land as they can, because Africa, the Caribbean, Central and South America, parts of Asia are just, ripe for takeover. Okay? And Germany's right behind China at 98 billion annually. Japan is behind Germany at 68 billion worth of imports. And guess who's behind Japan? The United Kingdom. The UK spends 66 billion, 66 billion annually on importing food into the borders of this tiny island. Okay, so obviously we will find farmers from these nations all over the planet, and you're behind us, brother Geraldo, with the Netherlands at 64 billion, and right behind them is France at 62 billion annually. So need to worry, there's a blessing. No need for second guessing, it's spiritual injection. It's a spiritual. We love the spiritual. All about the spiritual. We need that spiritual injection. No vaccine, but the spiritual. Yeah. We love the spiritual.